how's it going? I'm going to go through the suspected top of this cycle, when that might occur, and also when the bottom will occur next. And I think a good starting point is understanding where the previous halvings occurred. I've marked them roughly on the chart here as the orange lines you see on the screen. Something that you'll notice that's quite interesting is that the bottoms occur for Bitcoin approximately 515 days, give or take. I just put 518 and just copy pasted, but you can see that the bottoms occur roughly that period of time prior to the halving, right? Including the cycle that we're in right now, and a reaccumulation phase occurs after the fact. And this is something that has been brought to my attention by Rekt Capital, and I also have seen, people calling for a potential October top in the market, which I think currently seems unlikely, given the, I guess, macro outlook. And there are conflicting points regarding whether or not the top of the market for the stock market is going to occur soon. I think it occurs when the S&P 500 reaches approximately the 6,300 to 400 region, in reasons I explained in my prior video. If I can find my Bitcoin chart again, here it is. Sweet. And now that we understand that, the next halving is occurring on April 20th, actually, 2028, we can potentially assume the bottom occurs on November 2026. Right. Now that we have an approximate location for the bottom, or time for the bottom, where can the top of this market occur? In previous cycles, we saw that the top occurs approximately 500 days after the halving, right? 520 days or whatever. So by that logic, we would be looking at around that September to October period of 2025, right? I'll put a line of the current anticipated top, right? And where that would generally occur. And prior to this video, I did outline how I measure the Bitcoin tops, and like before, I will do it again just so you guys can have a look at how I've done that. If you want to figure out how I'm drawing these fibs, please watch my previous video. Right? There's like a bounce in here. Pretty much the bottom impulse wave up and the first wave down between 4236 and 4618. Same principle here. Right? And same one here. This is something that can be repeated each cycle, right? And this just gets the magnitude of the impulse wave and produces it 4.618 times over. So it adjusts for magnitude of each cycle, right? So even though this is 1,000, even though this is 8,000%, and even though this is 34,000%, it doesn't matter. And obviously the setting is on the log scale. Right, so now that we can do something, or measure consistently the approximate top, or around where we expect the top to be, I'll say conservatively between 3618 and 4236. So once it hits that 3618 period of the fib that I will draw next, that would be the time to start considering de-risking and not risking on any further. Right. So now that we're going to measure the impulse wave up and the line down here, we see that the top could likely occur between 115,000 and even at the higher end of 180,000, right? I've marked 150,000 here because the furthest or the lowest that we've ever gone is the 4236. Now, if we look into left translated cycles, we know that approximately a year is taken off the cycle, give or take, right? And if it's occurring in October, and the top would occur around the end of or at the December period, that's a bit less than a year, but still constitutes a left translated cycle because it is shortened by almost a magnitude of a third of the anticipated cycle length. Now, if the top were to occur around the January period, I'm being very, approximate about that. We'll just be looking at the level of the 150K region. That could even extend out like this. Right, yeah? And then it comes down to that bottom here. And why I have drawn the line like so is because the average approximate drawdown of each cycle has been 80%. Right? In this case, 75%. Let's take this high of 150 and take around, maybe because this cycle has matured, it might not go this low. So let's go in between, just right there. This is super inaccurate, right? But it should, if we were to hit that 150K, around this area, plus or minus 20% each side, should be the low, right? If history were to repeat itself. Now, it might seem far-fetched to have the line go like this from top to bottom for this long, approximately 669 days or 670 days if you want to round it up by one number. But if we were to look at the previous cycle, which actually essentially almost topped out prior to the second high, which wasn't too much higher, we can see that this angle of the actual price distribution isn't too far off, right? If we were to take this as a top, we were technically correcting for 640 days. So now it's not too far-fetched, right? Because it's never going to be a straight line down. We might see the price of Bitcoin go up. I'm going to draw it in a different color. Let me see if I can find a color. Yep, I'll use blue. Let's say we go up to here. We complete the fifth wave of this cycle's potential Elliott wave. We go down here. Maybe we try and we go and double test the top. I'm just drawing random lines, and then we drop quite violently because of some sort of event. Anything can happen is what I'm saying between the top and the bottom. Right. So once the actual impulse wave of this compression or the expansion of this compression occurs, the final leg of the cycle is often seen as the most vertical or parabolic, right? If the 150K region were to be hit and we were to grind sideways, we don't actually get a parabolic move up that is significant to any degree, unless it were to move up from here, in my humble opinion. Unless like we go really sideways for the next five months or whatever, and then we push up really heavy into the last part of the bull market. But as it stands at the moment, should we see the price break above the 74,000 current all-time high and start to put in a parabolic move, then we can anticipate that potentially it might be the move to 150. If that does not occur and we start to break into this area, which is unlikely from the cyclical nature of this cycle, where after the halving, a consolidation period occurs, right? Before the parabolic move starts. So it's something worth looking out for and something to be mindful of, that it is a real possibility that we top much earlier than people anticipate and correct for much longer than people anticipate. And people are thinking, oh, that's never occurred before, but really, it occurred last cycle, right? So, something to be mindful of when observing the macro swings of the current Bitcoin cycle. Not saying that this is absolutely correct, not financial advice, obviously. Something to keep your eyes open for. Any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.